There's something we keep seeing in crypto, an opaque meteoric rise followed by an equally dramatic fall from grace. We're always presented with some coin, some person, some institution, often all three things rolled up in one, and we're told that we need to respect their success. Why are they worthy of respect? Just look at their market cap. We're told that's the only thing that matters in crypto. Then you try to go a layer deeper and ask what excellent feats they accomplished to collect this market cap. That's the part that is always very difficult to unravel. The answer is always very foggy and opaque, but that should be the red flag that tells you those people and coins and institutions aren't like Cardano. They plan for a meteoric rise and optimal short term value extraction by the few, while Cardano was built for sustainability, long term survival, and to create a more equal economic playing field for the many. Ready? Let's go. Today, we're going to discuss the whole FTX Alameda SPF CZ Binance fiasco. I know it's a lot of names and acronyms, and what it really says about crypto, the perfect summary of today's events from a Cardano perspective, and a very mysterious tweet from a Cardano DEX. If you felt like this guy today because you had a bunch of deposits at FTX, or if you're finding value in these videos each weekday, please consider delegating to the Army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. If you were watching this channel a couple of days ago, you'll remember this tweet from CZ. He said, as part of Binance's exit from FTX equity last year, we received 2.1 billion USD equivalent in cash of BUSD and FTT. Due to recent revelations that have come to light, we have decided to liquidate any remaining FTT, that's the FTX token, on our books. At the time, it was a little bit unclear what those revelations were. But if the biggest player in the space, I mean, we can pretty much call Binance maybe the biggest player in the space. If the biggest player in the space decides to liquidate $2 billion of anything and they announce it beforehand, it's going to have an impact. And pretty soon, rumors started swirling around FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried and Alameda that there was some kind of illiquidity going on around there. You probably already know that FTX is Sam Bankman-Fried's exchange, and Alameda Research is his firm that has investments in a lot of different things in crypto and styles itself as a leading principal trading firm. Of course, FTX tried to dispel the rumors as quickly as it could with this post. This thread will be our last serious one on the topic before we go back to our normal updates and nonsense posting. We have one of the highest revenue profit valuation per employee as any company in the world. That's their grammar, not mine. I did paraphrase the first part for obvious reasons. But this post to me, when I saw this, it was weird because they didn't say, hey, you don't need to worry about our solvency. You don't need to worry about whether or not we're having liquidity problems. They just wanted to point out we have one of the highest revenue profit valuations, one of the highest revenues, profits, and valuations per employee of any company in the world. Felt a little bit weird. Like it was kind of like this desperate appeal to their own authority to let everyone know, hey, we're the giant exchange. We're the ones you must respect. It rang of this arrogance that it seems like all of these institutions and people and coins and ecosystems, when they do this thing where they shoot for this meteoric rise and they start having these giant celebrity endorsements, Super Bowl commercials, when they get there, it's sort of like the fake it till you make it thing never quite wears off. It's always fake it till you make it. It's even when you're on top, it's like fake it so they believe it longer. And you're not allowed to question their legitimacy because they're the ones with the giant market cap. They're the ones with the giant trading volume. you're not allowed to question their legitimacy. And if you do, there's not really an answer. Like, how did you guys achieve this gigantic volume? How did you achieve this gigantic market cap? What exactly is the valuation of these various entities, FTX and Alameda Research? What underlies those valuations? That answer is never quite available to you. But then again, if you're a reasonable person at this point, you don't really know what's going on. So you might also say to yourself, then again, maybe FTX is just way smarter than everybody else. Maybe they're so much smarter, they're just outperforming everybody else. Maybe those quants over at Alameda Research are so much smarter than everybody else. They're making such better trades than everyone else. They're just destroying the competition and they're worthy of all of our respects. Maybe they're a big player for a reason, and we shouldn't be questioning their position in the ecosystem. After all, CZ is their competitor. Maybe he just dropped that little $2.1 billion bombshell tweet about liquidating his position in FTT to hurt his competitor. Definitely CZ and Binance, big time competitors with FTX. Not unheard of in the crypto world for somebody to do something like that to hurt their competitor. So who knows what's actually going on? Then you probably woke up this morning and saw this. So this morning, for you when you listen to this, meaning yesterday morning, CZ said, this afternoon, FTX asked for our help. There was a significant liquidity crunch. To protect users, we signed a non-binding, that's important, non-binding letter of intent, intending to fully acquire FTX.com and help cover the liquidity crunch. We'll be conducting a full due diligence in the coming days. So not only was there actually a problem, but now all of a sudden, Binance is maybe buying FTX. And a lot of people in the crypto media painted this as Binance to buy FTX, which I don't think is quite the case. There are a lot of reasons why you might sign a non-binding LOI with a competitor. For instance, if it has a big due diligence clause, if you can do full due diligence, that means you can take a really good look under the hood of your competitor and see exactly what they've got going on. And if it's a non-binding LOI, you could still back out. CZ's post did seem to make a few things pretty clear. There was something definitely going on at FTX and or Alameda. Some kind of solvency problems or liquidity problems. He described it as a liquidity crunch, could be a lot of different things. But obviously, the situation was not the one where FTX and Alameda are just so much smarter than everybody else. They're outperforming everybody else. There are obviously problems there. And this previous post of theirs from just the day before now, at least to me, seems pretty misleading. We have one of the highest revenue profit valuation per employee as any company in the world. Weird grammar there. And then they followed it up with this: Scrooge McDuck swimming around in an immense vault of gold, literally having to spit gold coins out of his beak because he's involved in so much gold. This seems exactly the opposite of your company being in a liquidity crunch. These seemed like two very contradictory things. If I were a company in a liquidity crunch, I would not post things like this because I would not want to mislead anybody. It didn't take long for a bunch of people to come to the conclusion that maybe CZ had been thinking a few steps ahead of SBF this whole time. If his ultimate goal was to either acquire FTX or destroy it, then it wouldn't have been a bad call to liquidate those FTT tokens because it might start this little death spiral in the value of the token that might push FTX into a liquidity crunch that might require it to put itself on the market and find a buyer for the whole entity. Shortly after the news, we also got this hilarious live episode of Up Only with Kobe and Ledger. And shockingly, Kwon of Lunaterra infamy and Martin Shkreli, who apparently is fresh out of the penitentiary for his activities, which are also very notorious, both decided to jump onto the live stream. They almost had the trifecta. Edward Snowden was commenting in the announcement of this live podcast, and they tried to get him on as well, which would have been the perfect combination. But this was pretty hilarious as is. because Martin Shkreli and Kwon are commenting on how much trouble SBF must be in. So Shkreli even went as far as to offer some pretty extreme speculation. He offered that he thinks, and this is him saying this, not me, but Shkreli thinks that if, and I'm going to paraphrase this, I hope I get it right, but he said something to the effect of, if the investors, he thinks, if the investors don't get back 100 cents on the dollar, there's a good chance SBF goes to jail. On the topic of jail, he also turned to Kwon and told Kwon that jail is not the worst thing in the world. He hopes Kwon doesn't go to jail, but if he does, he should know it's not the worst thing in the world. The funniest part was that Kwon didn't lose his composure at all when Shkreli was telling him that jail wasn't the worst thing in the world, which tells me that Kwon's probably been spending a lot of time lately thinking about jail. Shkreli also gave a pretty elaborate description of what he thinks might have happened with FTX and Alameda to get them in this situation. And I thought to myself, it's a pretty bad sign when the person everyone's listening to try to figure out what happened to your company is a convicted felon. At the end of the day, Charles posted this, which I thought summed up the current events perfectly. We've been compared to a turtle many times, both by our critics and by ourselves, the Cardano community, and we've come to kind of like that mantle. Turtles might be slower, they take longer to deploy, they're not the first to market. Certainly those things are true of Cardano, but you could also say that the slower approach involves being fastidious and very tediously looking at every single detail, making sure you get everything right before you go to market. This is a big part, I think, of the identity of Cardano and by extension, the Cardano community. But in this case, I think it makes a really good point. You've definitely got all of these projects in crypto that shoot for exactly what's happened with FTX, this meteoric rise. I mean, FTX has an arena named after them, an NBA arena. They've got Super Bowl commercials. They've got celebrity endorsements, huge celebrities, not minor celebrities, huge celebrities. But just like Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen's marriage, we know that nothing lasts forever. It was a different situation when SBF and FTX and Alameda and Solana were on top. I saw a lot of people posting, hey, Solana's got this going on. Why can't Cardano be more like Solana? Hey, Solana is on FTX. How come Cardano's not listed on FTX? How come Cardano can't be more like these other projects that have this meteoric rise? Because we hadn't seen the other half of that. We hadn't seen the other side of that coin. But now you see the other side of the coin when your whole goal is that short-term meteoric rise and probably that short-term extraction of value by the few. I mean, that can happen. That can be pulled off. But often the other side of that curve goes directly back down. We're seeing that kind of thing right now. We don't know how all this is going to turn out for these entities, but what we're seeing is a lot of pain for them that Cardano's not experiencing. Cardano's not experiencing the other half of that parabolic curve because Cardano wasn't built for this short-term parabolic rise. Cardano was built for survival, long-term survival. If you are a part of these ecosystems that grow up around these projects that were built for that short-term parabolic rise and the extraction of value thing, you end up getting steamrolled, just like that guy in the thumbnail today. You end up steamrolled. And we've seen it happen over and over and over again. These projects that have the crazy parabolic behavior, they always seem to have that second half where they have this parabolic decline as well. But if you're a part of a project that's actually built for long-term sustainability and survival and have goals like creating this level economic playing field that we're always talking about in Cardano, instead of this short-term extraction of value thing, the situation can be a lot better. You don't end up getting steamrolled like that. Finally, here's a post from within our normal Cardano world that definitely piqued my interest. It starts out routine enough. MuesliSwap posted nearly 1 year of MuesliSwap, and we didn't stop building. And I think a lot of projects will have like a 1 year anniversary celebration post. This is pretty normal. But check out this next part. We are working on one of the biggest Cardano DeFi innovations. Side eyes. Stay tuned for more information soon. Trademarked. One thing I've noticed about MuesliSwap is they're not the biggest hypers. They don't hype up every single thing. Certain other projects, they might tell you they're bringing a world changing, piece of progress to their project. And then a week later, after they've been hyping it for 7 days, you find out it's just dark mode. Okay, so maybe dark mode would be world changing for me. I definitely love dark mode. But you know what I'm saying? They bring some trivial bit of progress and they overhype it. Everybody's thinking it's some like true technical innovation or something big, and it turns out to be something trivial. I haven't seen MuesliSwap do a lot of that. So when MuesliSwap says they're bringing one of the biggest Cardano DeFi innovations, I take it with much less of a grain of salt than I would a lot of other projects. So I'm definitely looking forward to see what this is. I hope it is a gigantic innovation, but I have a feeling if the next line is correct, hopefully we'll find out soon. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.